Hey, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's Tuesday morning, right before Thanksgiving, and today I'm going to talk about one reason why I love Montgomery. There's a picture of the waterfront here right behind me, and the waterfront's only part of the reason why I love Montgomery. But here's how the argument goes. And there are a bunch of YouTube videos that talk about the pros and cons of Montgomery, but most of them are from people who don't live in Montgomery. Doesn't seem like I've ever been to Montgomery. In fact, the most prominent of those pros and cons videos, the video maker even says, I've never been to Montgomery. But their argument goes something like this. Montgomery is boring because it's not a big city, which, okay, yeah, it's not a big city, and it doesn't have some of the amenities of the big city, but it also doesn't have some of the trappings of the big city. Then they talk about how food in Montgomery isn't good, which again, I'm not sure how you can make such a claim if you haven't been here. Looking on Yelp is not an adequate, not a reliable indicator of the quality of the food. But while we're talking about food, I want to talk about how food actually proves my argument. The main reason why I love Montgomery, and I think there are amenities, there are things to do. The boredom factor is not a huge concern. There are all the trappings of modern life that you need are here in Montgomery. But the main reason why I love Montgomery is because real wages are high. What do I mean by that? Is that you may not make as much money being a bartender here as you would somewhere else. However, your costs are significantly less. Now, a lot of people in Montgomery, and a lot of you watching this, are on a fixed income. And I don't mean necessarily pension or Social Security, but you are paid by your employer a certain amount of money, and you'll be paid that same amount of money regardless where you live. My wife is an example. She works for the federal government. We don't receive locality pay because we live in Montgomery and cost of living is not very expensive. Whereas if we were to live in New Orleans or Atlanta, then she would receive more money in locality pay. However, the cost of living in those locations would eat into that increase, and we think she actually makes more money here than other places. And I think that that's true for most people. You make more money here, real wages. So, one of the big concerns that people come back with this, people hear this argument, and they say, oh yeah, well, food is really expensive in Montgomery. So, I'm not a good judge of this. Before living in Montgomery, I lived in the Virgin Islands where there is no agriculture, and so all the food's imported, so all the food is really expensive. And so moving to Montgomery, I see the food as cheap. I wish it was less expensive, and people complain about high food costs, and I think that that's probably a fair criticism, but it's not fair if you look at it relative to other places. And so I think that that's not really an accurate criticism about Montgomery. We do have agriculture around here. Most of it is in the form of livestock. And when you go to the farmer markets, I do wish the farmer markets were larger and had more variety, but nonetheless, I think that that's a problem that affects everywhere because you have seasonal variations and you can always have a larger farmer market. But I don't think that the small farmer markets here necessarily reflect a lack of agriculture. I think they probably reflect All right, well, we're going to have to get this fixed because this is the second time in a couple days that it's done this to me. Let's see if we can't get it back here. I don't know. What do you do when the gimbal fails? Right. Okay. Well, the joy of unedited video. So we'll just do this for the remainder. So, as I was saying, I think that it reflects a cultural issue about farmers markets here in Montgomery, and less about the actual capacity of the farmers markets here in Montgomery. This is ridiculous. Okay. Anyone know a good gimbal? But in any case, since it's Thanksgiving, one thing I want to stress, one thing I looked up is turkey prices, because we're about to have turkey, and so we're looking and trying to buy a turkey. And I want to measure whether or not food in Montgomery is actually more expensive. So a turkey at Publix is going to cost us 49 cents a pound. If we were to upgrade to a butterball, then it's going to cost us 99 cents a pound. Which there's probably plenty of room for discussion and interrogation about why Butterball is double the price of another company, but regardless, 49 cents a pound. So I do a search to see what it costs in other places around the country. And what surprised me is that it doesn't vary at all. that the prices are set by the provider, by the national chain that you're buying from. And, my stepson and I just finished reading the Michael Pollan book, and I don't know why this surprised me at all, especially after reading the Pollan book, that's just agriculture is now a national product and doesn't really have local outputs. There are some smaller vendors here in Montgomery, but they're actually more expensive because they don't have all of Publix's other gains to help subsidize the price of the Butterball. But if I were to go to other stores, I would be paying close to the same price. And then non-Butterball, close to the same price. There's comparative shopping within chains here in Montgomery is almost futile, but those prices translate across the United States. They're not local, they're not region specific. And, while I think that's a problem, it doesn't reflect a problem with living in Montgomery. It reflects a larger problem of living in the U.S. or maybe even the whole world. I'm not quite sure. That's beyond my scope, which I'm curious about, but I just don't know. So, food in Montgomery, while it may be more expensive than everyone wants, is still, relative to anywhere in the U.S. that you're going to go, is not. And the argument that it's that a reason to avoid Montgomery because food's more expensive is just inaccurate. A lot of people will say, oh, it's too expensive, but really what they're saying is, I wish it wasn't so expensive. But they don't understand the math or why chains are making the decisions that they do. And, it's just a complaint founded in wish fulfillment and not necessarily an adequate study or research. So, when it comes to researching about Montgomery and if you should take that job transfer or if you should retire down here, I still think that Montgomery is a fantastic place to bring your family. And if you don't have family, I think it's a fantastic place to bring yourself. Your money will go much farther. Your dollar will stretch farther, whether it's savings or income. Real wages are higher here because the cost of living is so low. And again, I agree. We don't have the big trapping. We don't have the big amenities of the big city, but we also don't have a lot of the trappings. We have this beautiful waterfront that's down by the river, and it's just gorgeous. And we have great weather. Sure, this morning was cold doing the workout, but it's cold everywhere. Where else are you going to find 38 degrees and it's the temperature, while 38 is cold, the humidity level still allows you to work outside in a t-shirt and shorts and be comfortable. You don't get that, at least nowhere else I've ever lived. So, come to Montgomery. If you need help finding a place to live, or you want to talk about neighborhoods, or you just want to talk about anything at all, then drop a comment. Give me a call. My phone number is 202-538-5877. I'm here to help you find that dream house, find that dream apartment. I don't know, just find your dreams. I'm here to help you move to them. So leave a comment. If you think that this is valuable, hit the like button. If you want to see more stuff that I'm going to try and be more Montgomery specific and less theoretical and talking about things that are great about Montgomery, as well as, some of the flaws of Montgomery. It's not a perfect place. It's just a great place. So, hit the subscribe button if you want to see those other things. In any case, take care. I love you. Happy Thanksgiving.